One of
Because before you know the rule, because I remember there's one person who said, kama angekuwa kipofu angemwamukia because yeye hakuona kama gari imejaa, lakini because he has the eyes and he's mentally stable. I cannot stand that.
I cannot stand over. And that
Do you think we are losing it?
I think we are losing it.
Hello, welcome to Culture Shock Thursday. As you all know, on Thursday we talk about everything culture shock. My name is Ronald Sanya, and I have my girlfriend here. Can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, welcome to Culture Shock Thursday. I'm John and Karibu San.
Yeah, welcome. Today we are going to shift the gears a little bit and talk about culture shift. And our main focus is going to be on lifestyle culture shift.
Yes.
And maybe we're going to talk about marriage, the shift in marriage culture, and a little bit of respect. John, you will agree with me that there's been a very big shift when it comes to our marriage culture, especially in Africa.
Yeah.
What do you think about?
I agree with that, and it posed a lot of question to me because I see like the reality of this time when it comes to especially the marriage tradition. Let me put that word and the norm.
Yeah,
are different. For example, like many people. Well, I will speak on based on the variance and what I've seen. That many people are not really eagerly looking forward to that aspect. That aspect of settling down, building a family, building a home. It's not really something that people are enthusiastic about. Unlike when we check some few years back, in our father's time, their grandfather's time, their great, the happiness and the pain that it gives.
You know that reminds me when we were younger.
Yeah,
we used to say that we'll go to school.
Yeah,
maybe primary, then to high school. After high school, we go to college. After college, you get a job. After getting a job, we get married and settle down.
Yeah.
But it seems like today people have different views and perspective about that.
Yes.
It is no longer the plan.
I truly believe.
Yeah, and I just want to draw you to this article written by CNN that is in 2021 January that says Chinese millennials aren't getting married and the government is worried.
Yeah.
Do you think this just in China or it's cutting across?
I don't think. Thank you. I don't think it's only in China. For example, I think I was talking to somebody of recent, a lady, and she was like, they attended a marriage ceremony, and in the ceremony, I think after we have done the church thing, we now go to the, what do we call it now? The place where we interact with one another, the reception. So while they were there, somebody just said, okay, we want to celebrate the marriage this year. So if you have been married for over 40 years, can you please stand?
Yeah.
People stood 30 years, stood 20, stood 10 years, to now it start moving toward 5, 4, 3. And I think she said, if I'm not mistaken, from about 5 years to a year, it's only the couple, the intending couple, that are standing.
Yeah.
So people were shocked. They were like, what is happening? So between the 5 years down, no one is in their marriage that is married.
Yeah. What do you think people are not maybe interested in marriage? Is it because they have a misinformation on what marriage is all about? or is it because of the marriage scars or the thing that they have seen before about marriage that it making them say, I don't think marriage is our thing.
Well, thank you for that word. I think, yeah, like you said, like misinterpretation, misquoting, misunderstanding, uh, misrepresenting is something in our age, right?
Yeah.
You on internet everywhere, you see people say marriage is a scam,
Mhm.
is a scam,
True.
and that's the narrative. You are what you hear,
Mm.
and people are shouting that again and again, portraying that, giving information about that. Well, contrary to the people maybe that are even having good time, but the noise now, the noise and the and the and the power that the internet carries, the social world. People are seeing that more and more, and they are saying, okay, if this is what the person that has gone is saying, why should I do this? And also, I feel like in our generation is a fraction, when I say fraction, emotionally fraction generation. What do I mean by that? Marriage, I think, in my own little knowledge or little wisdom, let me say, is commitment. Now, we have that problem.
Yeah.
Generation.
We are not ready.
That we are not ready to commit. And again, another thing we can talk about, like you said, is the thing that we're solely, that we call the thing, I think, that make people, that prompt them or that make them enthusiastic, like sexual relations, and all of those things, the curiosity that are now met, are now readily available.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, it is true because when you look around, you
Yeah.
might find that maybe people who are shouting about marriage being a scam,
yeah,
because they know they are getting lots of sex out there
yeah,
when they are not in marriage,
yeah,
more than those who are even in marriage.
yeah,
So there's no need for me to be married
yeah,
or to get married when I'm getting whatever I'll get in marriage, even more than those who are already there. That was my question. Do you think people who have different opinion about marriage, they are making a lot, especially negative opinion about marriage, they are making a lot of noise about marriage being a scam than those who are actually in marriage and enjoying it? That is making it seem like marriage is a scam because those ones they are not talking about it.
definitely. Thank you.
Yeah.
Definitely. And we live in a time where the word is one. Actually, we live in one word right now. What do I mean? Like how we are speaking right now. You send it online, and you don't know somebody from China is watching, somebody from US is watching. The word is one basically right now. So I think we have been able to do good with breaking the wall. So now, if somebody, let's say somebody is looking up to as a mentor, or some have the narrative like what you have said, and they start now publicizing and start shouting that, oh, this is the another person will carry on with their legacy. So I think people who are having it wrong, and there are very few, by the way, because naturally, if you're doing good, why should you put a camera?
Yeah. That's what I was all about. Was because they'll say, why would we shout even about marriage being a good thing?
Yeah.
For us, we are in marriage, we are enjoying it,
Yeah.
and it's all about that.
Yeah.
Whoever is making noise about it being a scam, that's their own
That's their
problem.
own. Yeah.
So maybe that leaves it now. Maybe the religious institutions.
Yeah.
Do you think, you being a religious person, do you think maybe the church or the religious community is doing enough to shout about marriage?
Wow.
Because very soon you are going to have very few people, that you're going to put together as a couples. You are going to conduct very few marriage ceremonies, very few wedding ceremonies, because everyone will be coming out and saying it's a scam. Why would you? So maybe do you think the religious institutions, they are doing enough talking about marriage?
Well, uh, I would say, not to be biased,
Yeah.
I would say the religious institution are trying their best. Now, when we say religion, we live in a world that is, I think I was researching of recently, and I was just curious that how many religions are there in the world. And I was shocked to see that we have over 2,000 religions. So, but they are the major ones now. You see, when we talk about Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, all of those things, the Buddhists and all of those. So now, also religion now, if you talk to religion about me, I can narrow down to Christianity.
Yeah.
But what do they know in Islam? What do they know in Buddhism? What are they teaching? All of these things are things that shape our reality.
So the Christian community, do you think they are doing enough? Because I believe that at some point you have the responsibility.
Yeah, obviously.
Because my little understanding about the Bible is that marriage is something that was designed by God.
Yeah.
So when people come with a contrary opinion, I believe now it becomes our responsibility to correct them and say, whatever you are saying is not right.
Yeah.
This is what marriage is all about. If it is a misinformation about marriage, it is your responsibility now to bring that guidance and the teaching on the table and say, you have a misinformation about marriage. This is what marriage is all about. So do you think where you stand or where you see it, you are doing enough to enlighten people on what marriage is about and why people should be looking forward to get married?
Thank you. Yeah, well, good is not enough, but I would say we are the Christian. If I speak from that perspective now, they are doing quite well. There are many writings, there are many podcasts, there are many, there are many people, both Africa, Caucasians, men from a different race, who are really tangible, good news,
Okay.
about this institution called marriage. But now, it's now based on that, I would say good. They are doing good, but now we are still in that place whereby to make that noise more, like what you're saying, we have to invest in it more in the media and all of to bring it out there to show people. But I would say, to be truthful, to speak the truth, I think that the Christian and the kingdom wise, they have really tried our best. But then I would say again, it depends with the individual. Like, information are out there, but what kind of information are you assimilating? What are you receiving?
Maybe you can start with this information. What do you think marriage is?
Thank you. For me, I think marriage, if I want to qualify it in one word, you say, what is marriage? I think marriage is purpose.
Okay.
Purpose. If I choose another word, responsibility.
Yeah. You know, when you say responsibility, that's why people are saying how marriage is responsibility. So, responsibility to who? Being responsible to who? Or to what?
To what? Thank you. Being responsible to one another. See, culturally, as we know it to be, is the coming together of one individual and another, different sex, man and woman as we know it. Now, the coming together and the joining of these two people, you now know that this is not John anymore. It's not about you anymore. That shift is what many of us learn from. Now, I need to put another person in my perspective,
which is
decision, which is hard work and decision making. When it comes to about when it comes to about making affirmations, when it comes to my responsibility, what I do now. sometimes, uh, when in the single, you can choose like, oh, today cooking, I'm doing this, and that's it.
Yeah.
But now in that setup, you need to be responsible.
Yeah. To always be thinking about another person,
Another person.
which can make you forget about you. And that's why maybe people are running away from it.
Yeah.
If you say marriage is a responsibility, then I say that is hard one.
Hard one.
Because at the end of the day, what am I getting in marriage? What are the benefits of someone being married or being married?
Okay, like
versus someone being single? What are the disadvantages? We have to look at the pros and cons. If the cons of being in marriage exceed the cons of being single, then I'd rather choose to be single.
Okay. For example, thank you for that. For example, I know that you agree with me. There's a saying that says two are better than one. Do you agree?
Yeah, I do. It depends two are better at doing what.
Oh yeah, that's true. Like doing what? That's why I say purpose.
Yeah.
Why are we coming together? These are the things for me where I stand. These are the things that I see that we are not getting right, because information is transformation. And when you are not informed, you get deformed. Let me put it that. And even when you are informed, if you don't get the right information, it is still a journey to peril, and it's still a journey to derision or oblivion. Anyhow we can put it. So this what we're talking about, like, let's look at the pros and cons. We said number one, two is better than one. Now, from a psychological standpoint, a man that I know sees forward. A man sees forward. We can put it that way, which represent vision, which connote vision. And a woman experiment psychologically and socially. We know that we are told that a woman can even see from the side of their eyes. A woman can see around them, and can which means, which can connote to us like the present. We were talking the other time, and you were saying that the present now can see, can multitask. Let me say that. So God designed these two entities. You see the future, but let another one see the present to help you actualize. Okay, we are going to the future, but what shall we see? Even it now comes to that place when you talk to so many couples. You see, they were like, "Oh, when we came together, my life changed in terms of the way I used to do things. Maybe in time of finance, like, oh, me, I'm just somebody that is propelled, but now when this person helped me see some other dimension. So it also talks about different perspective. You see this perspective, another one is seeing these two perspectives. You have to talk about.
Yeah, that's why I say that. For me, I have a feeling like that the marriage institutions somehow they have a burden to preach about what marriage is all about.
Yeah.
They have the responsibility to preach about that, and I feel like they have become so dormant about that topic that they have left this generation to figure it out by themselves what marriage is all about, what marriage is. And when they leave them to figure it out by themselves, they come with different versions of what marriage is. And that's why you see so many of them that think that marriage is all about sex. And they feel like if marriage is all about sex, and I have an option of being single and getting more of that sex, more than people who are already in marriage, then why should I be there? I'll have options. I'll not be compelled to settle to or to think about one person. I'll have an option of having so many partners as far as I want. And I'm not committed. No one is giving me responsibility. No one is coming after me that you have to do this and this. So for me, I believe that somehow the religious institutions or the religious communities have failed to shout about the marriage issues. they have left it for this generation to have different versions. What it's all about, and that's why you see the marriage. That's why you see the word marriage is coming about. But now we're already there. How do we solve that?
I think, thank you for that question. I think may God help us. The narrative is different. Well, the picture. I think for me, I would say that the picture. In fact, we are not going deep into it, but let's just brush on the surface, and even the permeation of other cultures, even into. Let me use it in our. Let me use it like the African wise, receiving from other doctrines and other narrative of marriage. Now even we need to go into that now, telling people like, okay, I know you know what I mean. Marriage is really a thing between man and a woman, all of those stories.
Yeah.
And now going to the place of changing people perspective, that marriage is purpose. Marriage, for me, marriage is purpose, honestly, because two is coming together to fulfill one vision. One vision, one thing. What do we see? What is it that we are coming together to run after? You see, all of those things, and that's why you can say, you feel like the religion, the religion fold has failed, because it is part of the responsibility to help shaping the culture around that. Because it's an institution that was forced divided by God, like you see. It is something that we must know from God's perspective. But now you see, we live in an age where truth to everyone, somebody else's truth is different from your own truth, and you want to tell them to say no. Our truth is manifested to me is different. We live in a world that says that freedom of speech and all of those things. So you need somebody to their own opinion.
Yeah. Well, said also that the religious institution now they are failed. Look at the divorce statistics, and these are people who the divorce mainly happen from people who have vowed or who got married to the church or the religious institution process. And there are so many divorces out there. Do you think we are copy pasting what happened or what happens in Western culture to now being in Africa?
Well,
is it a case of copy paste? That because people are getting divorced in Western culture,
why not us?
We can also do it.
For me, again, I would say, because what you're saying is true. In fact, there was a data then for example, in my own nation, Nigeria, I think about 2020, people were concerned what the divorce rate should. Like people can get married for 1 month. That was how bizarre it was. 1 month. Weeks. I said, no, I'm done. So that means, what does that mean? Sorry. That means it's a foundational problem.
Yeah.
What did you see with this person?
Yeah, that's why maybe the religious institutions of the church, they are allowing people with the lust to get married, and not just about love. Maybe without knowing
without
building that foundation about marriage.
Yeah.
And that's why we are having the divorce rate shooting, because maybe people, they are not getting enough information about this.
Exactly, and that's why we must do well. I think now what you're saying, we must structure well that place. Even let's say for the religious setting now, we must structure that before people, and we have seen people who have done well. Before people make that commitment, because it especially the definition of love in our generation, we don't know what love means. For me, if you ask me to define love, I would say love is death.
I was about to ask that.
Yeah. In one word, I would say love is death.
why would love be there?
Oh, thank you for that. Because love is surrendering, being able to surrender, give with no expectation of what the other side will give in return. And you give yourself 100%. That is what God sees as love. For example, from the Christian tradition and from our culture, the Word of God says, even while we were yet sinners, He gave Himself.
Yeah.
And the model of how we should love that was painted for us, it says that our husband should love the wife as Christ loved the church. That even the wife should love the husband in the same way, So that demand is somehow about you when it comes to love. That's a very big difference from what we understand today.
Yeah. You are mentioning about that in a time where
Yeah.
a relationship today that becomes so transactional.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Very, very, what can I get? What are you giving me?
It's all about what do you bring to the table. We are going to get married.
Yeah.
What do you bring to the table?
Well, and primarily, it should be that. Because, okay, let's look at in the business. Well, in business, if we want to have a joint corporation, when we want to have what we call partnership, also it's called partnership.
Yeah.
I have to look at what is it that you're tabling, what is it that you're tabling. But then the culture shift that you are saying about that is that it has become the what will I say, the fasting. It has become the central bone, if I use it like that.
Yeah.
It has become like that is now the priority. But that shouldn't be the priority. As well, I think that's the narration you try to say.
Things are tough. Things are tough for one person to handle everything. At least you must have you have to contribute something when you are coming into this.
And that's true.
Yeah.
But then for me, when we look at customarily and primarily, also, let's say the time that the model was given to us by God, it was different age from now. But we have evolved and many things cultural wise, and there's different development. And we now live in a time whereby a male and a female, we can now have our own career, have our own drive and our own passion. That was not the narration from here, of which is good, beautiful.
Yeah.
Now we can be. I think it should not be a place of It should not be a place of that should not be the trial thing. When I mean prior thing, I mean the central stop of it. Like when you force me, I'm meeting somebody because she's a billionaire. Yeah, good. She's a billionaire. She can be able to help. But if that, the way ideas present ourselves to you and the way our life move is a saying that says our life move based on your top, your most dominant ideology. My life gravitates toward that. So if I'm meeting somebody who's a billionaire, that is the thing that I've seen, and that's my drive. So if that person cannot be able to render that again, I'll say, I'm that. This is the reason why
everyone wants good life. Everyone wants a good life.
For sure.
Yeah.
And even including me,
Yeah.
I want good life. But then I'm saying,
so if you are to get a billionaire right now, ladies a billionaire, you won't go for.
Well, I won't. I won't say I won't go for. But then, what I'm trying to say, what's the basic? What's the foundation? Am I going there because she's a if what okay tomorrow if you say I'm refusing, I'm not giving you, that will make me cut the transaction because it's transaction.
But even if it is based on love, even love fades away.
No,
Just as that Babylons they are likely to fade away. The tabs, those billions tabs are likely, it's likely to dry.
now when we
The also more love is likely to fade away.
when we talk
So
about,
we must be driven by something for us to like that person.
I love that. I love that now that you have said. Now, when we talk about the definition of love, like when we talk about now the English language that we use to converse and we use to communicate is, I see it like a very poor language. Though we have different grammars and vocabulary. For example, when we look at the root word, the ancient language like Latin, Greek, Hebrew, what is the definition of love? Because when you use, for example, the Greek word, when you say love, it means many things. Because you can mean I phileo you, which means I love you as a friend. I eros you. I love you, like, when it comes to, I have sexual, I have sexual pull, and I agape, which is the God kind of love, unconditional. Or in another word, I stego. I think there's another word for love, stego, which means respect. Like that's the kind of love you have toward your family member, your father, your mother. We still tell them I love you, but it's not the same way I tell my wife that I love you. You understand? Those two things are different. But now, what do we understand as love? Somebody in our generation does say I love you. It mostly is a transaction, and if that thing fades away, that's when you see somebody say, I'm not just feeling the way I feel. I'm not just, no.
Do you think at the rate at which you are moving, the marriage numbers are likely to dwindle or they are going to?
I think if something is not done very quickly, I think it's
What would that be? What does something?
Reorienting ourselves.
What do you mean?
Like we knowing what is the beauty, what really is the intention of the one that designed this thing called marriage. What really is it that we are getting? Glory to God, we can do well. We have even people from our own Christian tradition that never got married and did well. But we have the story of of they that did excellently well. And I think when I understand, especially the place of understanding, if you're going to business, you will understand the business you're going to. And if not, I've cultured myself and I've planned for me to fail. If I'm going to, a career, I have to understand why is it that this thing that we call marriage, people don't want to understand, and they just want to just be like, oh, I get I get one person that makes me, we look much of facial thing. I just like her vibe, which is good. I just like the way she smiles, which is good. I just like the color of her complexion, which is good. I just love her hair, which is good. But those things, like you said, it will fade away. Those things are transient. It will fade away. Now, what do you hold on to?
Wow. There is a different kind of marriage that I have observed that I believe is very concerning.
Yes.
Our young ladies being married to older people, the ones they call ancestors. And it is very funny because I was watching a TikTok clip the other day, and even they are just bragging about it. Like, just saying, for me, I got married to an ancestor. Yeah, they are using the word the people are attaching themselves to something.
Yeah. And let me put a disclaimer aside, if I may.
So if one at Jamaica, even the better. You get an ancestor who is will I say vibrating or what? It's even the better because they are bragging about it. We want to Jamaica. How we want about Ajanga? Like, come on. So this is the part that
And sorry, sir. Even in the opposite now, I think I've seen a lot. Like a guy now.
Yeah, now it's becoming even common now.
Yeah.
It's now vice versa.
Vice versa.
The girls even they are running even into it. In fact,
Okay.
alarming numbers.
Yeah. So
And they are very happy about it.
yes, sir.
They call them anti-marriage. They are running after the anti-marriage. And it is becoming, by the way, it is very serious. It might look funny, but it's very serious because people now, their mindset is on attaching themselves to something.
Yes.
Yeah.
You see, and that's where we are coming from. Because when we put it on the table from a young person married to an old person in both gender now what are you everything. And what people don't know is that people will say, I have I own my life and I can do whatever but there's a picture you're painting and there's a statement you're making. Cindy, there's a statement you're making. I don't care what your value is or whatever you say after that. There is something wrong. Well, when we now talk about the age gap of which we are we're talking about, what is the range? Or if somebody is just plus or minus 5, see, that is bearable. But now when we are talking about, well, forgive me, I stand to be corrected, but when we are talking about 40 years, 20, 30, what is it? There is another thing. Honestly, people can say, oh, it's love or stuff. No, there is a motive.
There's no love.
Yeah,
Definitely one has a motive.
Yeah, there's a motive.
One among them has
Yeah.
I'm going to this older person because at the end of the day he's vibrating. So maybe only you guys only remain with only around 5 years.
Yeah,
You will be gone when I'll have the property.
Yeah,
I'm going to this to a area because at the end of the day he's going to finance whatever you want. So I don't have to hustle.
Yeah.
All I need is just energy to perform whatever she wants me to perform.
Yeah.
That is it.
Yeah. And I love the word.
Do you think it's a bad thing?
Yeah.
Because I'll say in this world, everyone is after something. Even you, I know you are after something.
Obviously. Yeah.
So if they choose to be after the property, after the finances, why not? Do you think it's a bad?
Well, you can orient yourself that way, and people. That's why I've said. People say, "Oh, what you know is different from what I know." But then, on the later end, or at the later rung of everything you're doing, what will be the result? That's what lead to violence in our time. Whereby let's paint a picture: a young man, an older woman, maybe not too old a woman. Now, this guy maybe on the road to the journey made a realization, I want to withdraw. We are seeing it lead to many violent cases of death and all of those things. Vice versa also. See, because now somebody has seen that, okay, maybe at the time in their life, maybe they realize that, okay, what I'm doing is wrong and it is not the right stuff. But then at the initiation of the thing, that is has not occurred to you. So you've asked me if it is bad because somebody can say, oh, that's how I've choose to that's what I want to do. Well,
I want a good life, and if that old man can provide, if that to a can provide, then why not?
I would say it has worked for some people, but what are the statistics of the people that it has worked for?
Someone will say the worst that can happen there, and to a dumping me after you have enjoyed our moments, and she has financed me. or the worst that can happen is this old man not writing me, including me on his will. But after all, I would have enjoyed whatever I would have enjoyed at that moment that we were together.
So you see that
Yeah.
exactly. That was the word momentary. Now we have turned it to a momentarily. Sorry, something of the moment.
Yeah.
You know, a stop. And when you now see it, is something that help fulfill the desire of the flesh. Something I want. I just want to enjoy life, travel, and do. That is why we can now say we are running, because now you know that, okay, what if I see another young person of my own caliber? He does not have something as much as this other person has, but we can build a future. Now somebody don't want that. Somebody say, hey, mimi ni lala nja. No. I'm so precious. And you know, this ideology of we carrying ourselves more than me, I'm not meant for suffering. I'm not meant for,
I was never born
I
to
was
suffer.
never. You see,
Look at me, this body. Does it look like a body of suffering?
over suffering.
That mentality.
Yeah.
Do you think, John, the love for good thing, always has a repercussion, lies on there?
I would say the love for good things that is not well oriented. Let me put it that way. Because even in the word of God, I will quote, it says, according to paraphrase now, that according to his power that has given us all things that are for glory and for virtue, for life and godliness. So if somebody has given me all the blessing that is needed for glory and virtue, for life and godliness, that means they are put in perspective of my livelihood. They have a perspective of that, oh, I have to enjoy life. So I would say the pursuit of good life is never bad. But now, when that is the most priority and that I want to achieve it at any cost.
Yeah, the word is at any cost.
At any cost.
Yeah.
Whatsoever whatsoever it demands of me, whether good or bad, I would just want to achieve that.
Yeah.
You see, that's now the thing.
Talking about achieving at all costs. You are a Nigerian, and I believe you've heard about the Kilimani stories.
Yeah.
What our Nigerian brothers, your brothers, are doing to our girls in Kilimani, which is all about getting the good life at all costs. What's your view or perspective on that? I believe you're part of those.
Yeah. That's evil. Evil at its core. That's what I would say. That's never how life should be.
Is it even the part of the Nigerians, or is it even the part of the girls who are willingly taking themselves there to do those things?
Well, now
because it's never through force, no coercion based in there. They are never under duress to do all those, to go there,
go there.
Those stuff. It is willing buyer, willing seller, willing buyer. So do you think it's the evil in the part of the ones who are being the Nigerians, or the ones who are taking themselves out there to do it, to have a good life?
Well, it leaves me in a what would I say, a dilemma. It draws up. I draw a blank for a moment, because now, if the thing is without force, and every human has a will. Now, if there is no force, you're not put on that duress. You are choosing that. So, what do we say? You have just.
Yeah, it is the case of you have the money.
You have the money.
I have what I can
Yeah.
offer.
Transaction.
Whatever.
If you know, okay, maybe now where I can say it's evil, maybe the guys, or maybe if there's something hidden at the initiation of the soul. If everything is not revealed and put in the light that okay, this is what we are doing. Obviously, there will be some things that
from where I sit, I don't believe there's an agreement that this is what we are going to do.
Yeah,
I don't think there's
there's no written agreement.
Yeah.
Well, but I'm saying
Yeah.
if there's still some retention of information, like obviously there will be, because this is not like we are signing a contract and stuff. You know what I'm saying, like, but at least you want to go meet somebody, you have to do a background check. Single, you have to carry that responsibility. Okay, to know the person, and when you do that, and you still know that this is the kind of person this person is, and you still chose to continue. Well,
yeah, because they still go there the following day.
Yeah, so I think.
Yeah. So, we want to switch now to on respect.
Okay.
The other day we had a national prayer breakfast, and something that I came out a lot was about respect. Because so people coming out, the leaders to ask forgiveness was preached a lot, and the respect word came out a lot. Do you think there's been a big shift with this generation when it comes to respect? And I mean respect to people of the older generation and even those within the same age bracket.
Yeah. Especially for me, especially to the older generation.
Yeah.
I would like to say that because again, westernization, civilization, which is a beautiful thing. Assimilation and the welcoming of other culture, especially looking at the Western. We now incorporate it into our culture. For example, let me speak about the African tradition, the African customary, the African, stand. I love it so much. Across the African continent, it's almost like our culture. When you read the tradition, it's almost like our culture is just the same, because sometimes when you bear me witness, like if you travel to Nigeria right now, but when you interact with the people, you start realizing that, hey, that's what my mom usually do to me. That's how I was trained, because it's almost like the same. And one of our core training is respect, mutual respect toward our peers, and especially to the elderly. You have to respect the elder, the one that are old. For example, in my own culture, Nigeria, if somebody is elderly with you with 1 minute, 1 minute, let's say you are born in 1035, and another one is born in 1036.
Yeah,
they force you to respect that word.
Because in whatever way you look at it, you are older than you.
Yeah, they have the advantage of 1 minute. They came into this world 1 minute earlier than you do.
Do you think that respect is a give and take? And like I have to mark the energy of what you give.
Well, I would say at a certain level, it is that. Because there's a statement that says respect is reciprocal. Yeah. What you give me, I reciprocate.
Yeah.
We leave.
If you give me bad vibes, I'll match that.
I'll match that one. We and in the psychological work, it's called the mirroring. The mirroring effect.
Of course.
I mirror back what you give to me.
Yeah.
Well, in some setting, I would say that is right. But even at the core, these are principles. These are things that are, it should transcend from ideology to principle. Now, principle is greater than ideology, because principle are the things that have formed my person, my persona. They are the things I live. They are the core of my life. Or if it is just an ideology to me, I might not welcome it. You see, I might not see that I might not see it as compulsory, but these are the things. Now, value, like I say, are the things that has been shaping into the reality of the person that I've become. And these are the things that are to us, that you respect an elderly person. Like what we're saying in the other conversation, it is not transactional. Yeah, I know that there's that place of mirroring, and there's that place of, even if the elderly does not respect and mirror, but then at the core, it's a principle. The person you are is, you don't change because if you say somebody is, if your principle, you don't change because of the external factor. Either somebody do good or bad, it doesn't.
The respect must
Yeah,
be
yeah,
constant.
it must be constant. It doesn't change you. Whether I poke you or trigger you, if I say this is my principle, I shouldn't change. So for us, what is the conversation there? We are now seeing it as an ideology rather than core value. You see, rather than taking it as a value, we are just seeing it as a.
And so, does it mean that the older people, the older generation, they have a leeway to not give respect, and we don't have to mark that?
Well,
ours just the responsibility to give that respect, whether we are being disrespected.
well, I will say no to that, because even from the, I will say my most of my ideology now is shaping, like you say, from the word of God, and also things that are noble and things that are good that I've been learned over the years. Even from the word of God, you see it. That is in the book of Ephesians chapter 6. You see, children, obey your father and your mother, honor your father and your mother, so that length of days might be. But it says, when you further into that text, fathers, do not provoke your children. Yeah, so that's mutual.
Yeah.
It speaks about mutual. Don't provoke your children. We have the narration of elderly narcissist, and somebody that is just a sadist and bad character. Now they want to force you, and that's the ideology of African, in a way that we are trained to be timid. You just sell them, and without no excuse, or without questioning, just follow. No.
Do you think this is a very good voice, John, a very powerful one? Do you think the older generation are being intentionally provocative to this generation today, that's making this generation don't care about respect?
Well, I would say in a certain way, yeah. Because why am I saying in a certain way? Because let's say, for example,
I'll give you this scenario. Maybe I should think about that example. And you'll tell me whether this is provocative or not. When we are growing up, we used to know that you are not supposed to sit when the person is standing. The moment there's one chair and you find yourself, it is two of you in a room, in a place, and there is one seat. That seat was definitely meant for the older person, for the other person. And then we have this scenario today where maybe there would be a matatu.
Yeah.
You enter when you get a matatu. It is full, but then the elder person joins in. Are you supposed to stand for them just because they are elder or they are older than you? Or what's your take?
Thank you. What a thoughtful question now.
Because another person will say, no, so this matatu was already full when you came in. Your common sense, I cannot stand up on something that you saw. That you are just provoking me to stand up for you on something that you know it is bad.
Well, that's why I say,
because the best thing that you would have done is to wait for another matatu to come, then have your seat.
Obviously. Well, what you know, when we look at now the root, and there are things that we believe in Africa, or but I believe they are good. They are part that are good, and they are part that is not, that is not good. Let me use that word. That's supposed to be thrown away, thrown out of the
Out of the window.
out of the window, out to being. But there are those that are good. Now, one of
Because before you know the good, because I remember there's one person who said, kama angekuwa kipofu angemwamukia because yeye hakuona kama gari imejaa. Lakini because he has the eyes and he's mentally stable. I cannot stand that.
I cannot stand over. And that,
Do you think we are losing it?
I think we are losing it. And you see, how life is designed is that even you, as we're growing up, one of the things that's shaping our person, except now you learn the good way now, are the things we see from our parents. So what does that speak? It means some people are also looking at us. If that is the thing that we have adopted, there are people that are look, and each one will carry greater power and manifest it more, in a more glorious way than the other.
Yeah.
So I think it's not right. Because in a place you say you're paying $100, I'm paying $100.
Yeah.
Why should I?
And you saw the bus was already full.
The bus is already. Wait for another. Let's say, for example, now
you can't board by bagging on me that because I'm younger. I'll
just stand up for him. But you see now, I think I now want to narrow down to the place of when it is core. It is not transactional. It is not an idea. I would like to say that it is not something that you do because another has done other things. You see, those are the things that have shifted now. That I want to do it because you have done this. No, and also the adult has to be reasonable. Let's say I'm resuming for work. Yeah, I'm going to Nairobi from Thika. I'm resuming for work, and now you ask me to stand up, or long distance, and that might not be reasonable. But if it is along the way, at least I pay that.
Because at the end of the day, we are all tired.
Yeah, we are all.
Whether you are all tired, we are all tired, and we deserve to feed.
Yes.
So that it's all about you to choose carefully. We are all tired.
Yeah.
Yeah.